Hey man, y'all know Nickelodeon, right? With that splat splat, that click clack, that boom bap. Yeah, that Nickelodeon. Well, before it had its current juggernauts of SpongeBob, Loud House, and now Rise of the Ninja Turtles, it had to go through a bunch of other decisions to get there. As far as the casual TV watcher may know, Nick has a good stability in his animated content. People remember the Rugrats, Teenage Robots, Fairly Odd Parents, and to some extent, even Chalk Zone. But whenever you bring up certain tunes like Tack and the Power of Juju and Robotic Monster, and to a degree, third-party shows like Augie and the Cockroaches where they showed boobs on national TV, people just seem to turn their heads to the side. But we're not talking about neither side of the forgotten and the remembered. I'm going to be talking about the in-between middle section where the critics lie. This is Nickelodeon's known stinkers in animation. By the majority. If this video was over the channel's entire programming history, which includes the live action sitcoms, we will be here forever. Nobody wants to sit here for an hour of me just talking about True Jackson VP. Come on now. So where should we start? How about these two? Because I'm inclined to believe that this show started the hate train. So here's my theory. Niggas hated Fanboy and Chum Chum because it started during the resurgence period of Nick, when the majority of the shows were CG and people were just waiting for SpongeBob to come on. This was also during the time where the Mighty Bee peeked his head through the darkness too, but she couldn't even overcome the obscurity. So people felt like Fanboy and Chum Chum was robbing the already burnt out viewer of his time, seeing these two unlikable 3D blobs fuck with the world that they live in. Plus, the annoying tone of the intro didn't help. Nick realized this and soon chunked it over to their sister network Nicktoons after 3 years of running it. And it was stagnant on there for 3 more years until eventually ending in July 12th, 2014. Now, disregarding others' opinions, I thought the show was fine, just fine. It wasn't too witty, it wasn't too bland. There was a lot of fourth wall breaking elements that kept my attention, but I certainly wouldn't binge this show out of my own free will, or if there was a marathon. But I mean, like, look at that Michael Jackson kid, look at him go!
My experience with Fanboy and Chum Chum is mainly that I just found it pretty annoying. Fanboy was just so frantic and jumpy, he just seemed like bootleg Sheen from Jimmy Neutron. And I never got why his name was Fanboy in the first place. He doesn't really come off as a super nerd of any particular series, so it was just kind of moot, as well as his costume. And Chum Chum was just sort of that simple sidekick character that was just there just to be the same as Fanboy, but smaller. His voice could get a bit annoying considering it sounds dangerously close to nails on a chalkboard, which sucks since I've heard that voice used for other good characters like Adam Lion, Luna Loud, and Styx the Badger. Everyone just seemed too goofy and annoying that you couldn't really find yourself connecting to anyone, especially with the show's reliance on fart jokes and being as over-the-top goofy as possible. The animation was just too bendy for slapstick to work and even uglier to look at. Not to say ugly couldn't work, but here it was just executed poorly. It probably would have worked better if it was in 2D rather than 3D, so you wouldn't be taking in all of that. Hell, if you look at the episode title cards, the designs don't seem too bad. I appreciate the series having this zany design to it, but the 3D format just wasn't made for it. Overall, the show was honestly just a stupid waste of space.
Yo, how the hell was that nigga talking without his mouth moving? Alright, whatever. Alright, so one down. Who's next? Well done. Meet Sanjay and Craig, a show created by 3 guys. This is the only case I've seen this happen, and this will explain a lot going forward. So, why may you think that people didn't like Sanjay Craig for, huh? I'll wait. It's because it's ugly. It was all over the place. Now, this isn't a bad thing on paper. It's different, it's new, it's something to get used to and accept. On the other side of the spectrum, some shows are usually special and ongoing for one thing: replication. If your show is appealing and easy to draw, you've won 50% of critics' hearts, usually the 12 to 16 year olds. which is usually the majority that has a death grip on if your show is successful or not, because those are the guys who are going to buy the merch, go to the cons, and draw the fan art to keep everything alive. Now, this show didn't have much of that, unfortunately, so to raise a middle finger to all those who didn't fuck with it, they added as much vomit, hyperrealism, and farts as they could, which got them the green light in the first place. Now, the rest of the majority thought that the show was trying too hard to be gross, which is debatable. These three chuckle fucks were just having a blast making this cartoon, and any other opinion besides their bosses were probably beneath them. If you ask me, the show was kinda reminiscent of the final seasons of Ren and Stimpy, where the gross out humor was maximized, or is sort of equivalent to Seth Rogen attempting to make a children's cartoon.
Well, my two favorite dudes from the Best Friends Hall of Fame. A little boy running around with his pet snake going on adventures. A show that I will have to say had pretty mixed reviews. I've always kind of enjoyed it. People's main gripe with it was the toilet humor. While yes, it can be obnoxious at times, it's very surface level. The first episode even has a scene addressing it. Sanjay's mom explains that she tells Sanjay gross stories because she loves to make him laugh. A sentiment held by the creators, considering one of them had a mom who was also a nurse that would tell him and his friends stories and make them laugh. The core of this show feels like an absurdist and fun look into adolescence, with a lot of the episode's plots just being Sanjay goofing off and playing games with his friends. Like, actual use your imagination silly games. For how absurdist this show is, I have to say Sanjay feels like a real kid. He plays games, he likes gross things, he has insecurities a real kid would have. And while he makes mistakes, he's still a good-hearted, genuine kid that cares a lot about his friends and family. I know I'm not exactly the demographic for a show like this, and there are episodes that are incredibly obnoxious and gross, and I feel like I'm losing brain cells just watching them. But then there's episodes like The Giving G, Traffical Island, Kung Fu Catapult, and Release the Kraken that all have focus on the kids and their adventures rather than the gross out humor. Those are the ones I really like. I also find it funny how Craig's disguise is just always so incredibly weak, to the point where even within cartoon logic it's like, no, that's not a human. Obviously, that is definitely a snake, to the point where even Sanjay just told his parents, hey, I have a talking snake. And they're like, well, yeah, we know, because it's just so obvious. I love it.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, they got fucking Snoop Dogg on this show, which isn't saying much because he agrees to pretty much anything, being a nice guy and all. But I've always found it funny on how this guy pops up in children's properties, knowing damn well what he's famous for. Breadwinners on Nickelodeon.
Queasy, queasy, cause we can. Sway, produce. Do a barrel roll, man.
Barrel rolls, ooh, that's very topical as the rest of the show. Holy shit! I mean, there's no jokes here. It's just people doing catchphrases. Just so you know, that was taken verbatim from the Rebel Taxi review of Breadwinners, which I added to prove my point moving forward. Breadwinners was created by Steve Borst and Gary Doodles, two guys who were best known for animating certain shorts to Cartoon Network's show Mad. Eventually, the two got together afterwards to whip up a one-off animation for a film festival in New York, and apparently later catching the eye of Nick. And as mean as it is to say, with both of their experience only containing in TV shorts and whatnot, creating a full-fledged show wasn't gonna be a walk in the park. But boy, they gave it their all, and almost immediately after hitting TV screens.
Breadwinners TV show rant.
This show is terrible to me.
If you like that show, I don't like you.
And it was just super loud without any real point to watching.
They always like to twerk and do toilet humor. What the fuck? That is stupid and gross.
This is aimed at the tiniest of newborns!
Yeah, there's absolutely no fucking effort here.
It's so horrible to look at. I'm like, why?
Breadwinners is terrible. I want Raven to choke me while I scream.
Well, goddamn, no one was fucking with it. And here's the reason why. The art style, the animation, the jokes, the characters, the concept.
You're not supposed to feed ducks spread. That could choke them or give them a liver disease, but hey, here's the show that just says, fuck that, feed the ducks bread, we don't care.
This show came out in 2014, during a booming era where everything that was released was criticized on the internet, and boy, did they not hold back. But this wouldn't necessarily ruin the product. However, Nick only kept it on their main channel for 1 year before moving it to Nicktoons to stagnate. Quite the fate, but I'm sure the creators saw it coming. They weren't aware on how to make a show for the long term, and everyone knows the rules of Nickelodeon. If you can't be SpongeBob, then why are you here? Now, considering I was a high schooler when this show came out, I'm assuming you'd think that I thought it was shit too. But you'd be wrong, you punk ass bitch. Out of every show on this list, I enjoyed Breadwinners the most, and that's strictly because of one thing: sound design. You guys probably ignored it from all the fart jokes and memes they were telling, but haven't you noticed that every action that happens in the show is synced to the damn music?
Eat, steal! Eat, steal! Can I get a refill? Check, please!
I'm not sure if you're aware yet, but I'm a sucker when it comes to audio in shows, movies, or games. You could show me a meme right now that is literally just a piece of poop with a white background. But if there's music in the background that is beautiful, I'll be like, oh hell yeah. Audio engineering is one of the hardest tasks to master, which is why I say countless times that Phineas and Ferb is the best modern cartoon, period. Have one of you made 222 plus songs for a series and all of them slapped? I think not. Fuck home somewhere. Where was I? Oh yeah, Breadwinners. Yeah, they need more Rule 34. There's only like 40 images on the site. Give me more Ram Bam Boo, man. What?
Breadwinners is a disappointment. It's kind of like someone watched Adventure Time and tried to replicate that same formula without understanding what makes it work. Stripped down to its most basic components, Breadwinners' concept isn't bad. It's the execution that really brings the show down. Breadwinners' mess of ideas results in an obnoxious mishmash of a show. The characters have as much depth as a sheet of paper, their personalities consisting of being loud, extreme, and spouting random catchphrases and bro speak that plagued the early 2010s. Stank, scrofe that loaf, badooce, sway, yeah boy! You can tell it's from that hashtag YOLO Jamazing time period. It's kind of like Pickle and Peanut, but at least Pickle and Peanut's visual humor was entertaining. Speaking of humor, you can describe it the same way as the characters in the show. Bland, obnoxious, arse jokes. It's just either gross out or random phrases. Honestly, these jokes are just arse, as is the show. That's really all it is. A bland, flat arse.
Alright, that just about does it for the video. I'd like to say thank you to my guests. Why are you looking at me like that? Oh, it's you. Don't get me started on you. Alright then, pull up. Glass. Planet Sheen is a spin-off show to Jimmy Neutron, starring side character Sheen Estevez, the wacky hyperactive comic book nerd. And when it premiered in October 2nd, 2010, next to Tough Puppy, everyone went, huh, not from people not liking it, more of people asking why. It's pretty similar to Tucker from Danny Phantom going into the Ghost Zone by himself, only to be stuck there forever. Nobody will watch the show Ghost Zone Tuck. It sounds dumb. It'll work better as a single episode of the original series. So making an entire show out of this concept was destined for failure. I mean, it only worked once. It don't get me started on you.
Yo, fuck Planet Sheen. It don't make no goddamn sense. They took the most annoying character from Jimmy Neutron, and she was great in Jimmy Neutron, but that's because he was balanced. He was balanced with his buddies, but now it's just this annoying cock and his dumb fuck friends, and they wrote Carl out, but then they wrote Carl back in. It doesn't make any goddamn sense, and I'm glad that it's dead!
Planet Sheen was for sure not liked by many, and will likely fall into obscurity where it rightfully should be. Oh, Mation, I know you tried, fam, but next time, just give us more Jimmy Neutron. Boy! Hey, men.